MetaVerse is like a flipping point of like when you spend more time on the digital, you value digital more than you value like a co-activity or physical space or your physical surrounding. So I went to NFT NYC. It has potential.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Just Coded with Sarthak. In this channel, we discuss about tech, career, product and life. And in this video series of podcast, we have a very amazing guest today, Grace. She is the founder of Smart Venture Podcast. And today we will deep dive into her story and how she moved from investing, working at VC firm and now her own company, the Smart Venture Podcast, and how she is connecting with the great folks from Silicon Valley. So we will discuss all about that. Also, there is a special part in this video where we will discuss about multiverse, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and also a rapid fire round to know what are her personal interests. So stay tuned till the end of this video to get to know all about her. Guys, if you have not even subscribed my channel, subscribe it right now and press the bell icon, just right the subscribe button to get a notification every time I put a new video. And without further ado, let's start with the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very special guest with us, Grace. She's like founder of Smart Venture Podcast, and she has done phenomenal work in this area and other areas. So today we will deep dive into her story and learn a lot of things from her. So moving on to you, thank you so much, Grace, for joining on for this podcast. And I would love to hear more about your backstory introduction.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm super excited to come on this show and super excited to meet everyone. Hi, audience.
Cool. So wanted to know with the first question, like first of all, like a very big congratulations for having like a successful podcast. Like this company is working phenomenally in this direction, and we are all happy to hear some podcasts and gain some knowledge out there. But how did this story initiate? Like what trickled you into this direction? How did the story started?
Yeah, totally. So I think I have to go back to really far away, from like high school. So when I was in high school, I started like a school English newspaper when in my high school in China. And then I because everybody's like trying to study abroad in America. And then I wanted to like help people to record their extracurricular activity. So that's like why I started the newspaper. And then people like parents become our audience. Like basically it's sold out like every Friday in school. So like I think I developed an entrepreneurial passion, like journalism passion when I was younger. But I just never really thought it could become something like real. I just thought like after school I would just like go into like work at a company or something. But and then when I moved to San Francisco, the Bay Area, I realized like tons of people were creating their own businesses. So and then like it's sort of like a norm to have your own business in the city. So I feel like I'm super inspired by that. So I started like just like asking other people how they started their company. So previously, so I just started like writing books about it and then like just like interviewing other people about it. So I started this podcast in the middle of pandemic after I've done like some like VC work in China, and then I moved back to the Bay Area. I feel like I wanted to just like, again, like I find myself like soul searching, like to just like what exactly should I start as a company. So I decided to just like went out to interview a lot of my like mentors or a lot of like people that I respect in the space to learn about like, you know, how they started their company or how do you actually manage a company. And then I just like started interviewing people I know. Then like within a year, I have interviewed a lot of like people that I'm just like super look up to, the superheroes in the space, such as the founder of Craigslist, co-founder of Square, founder of OpenSea, FTX, CEO of Instagram, CM of Deloitte, CTO of Reddit. I feel like I'm super fortunate to learn from these amazing founders and the amazing operators. And another huge part of like why I decided to start my podcast is because I so I went to school in the Midwest in like for my undergrad, and then as an international student who came from a different country, I had no network, and then I actually have no idea like how to get to somewhere. Like I don't have like a friend that like just become like a superstar founder or something. So when I moved to the Bay Area, I feel like I was really fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of people that I used to like heard in like a newspaper or like just like inspired by their story or like seeing on Product Hunt. You could just like literally physically be in the same room with people that you like heard of on like a social media platform. So I wanted to transform that experience online just because I wanted to kind of inspire like people who are not physically being in the same room with these super smart people to actually be able to learn from them and like basically pick brain from these people and then grab a coffee chat with them over like a Zoom call or like a basically just like learning from these people's stories. So that's why I like started the podcast. I just wanted like the younger version of myself, they could be able to leverage these information to figure out like where they want to go with their career.
Yeah, I think terrific story there because that's the idea. I think it's one thing to use those apps, use those technologies, but to learn from the people who are like the brains behind them and to like gather their perspective and their learnings is an awesome learning in itself. So yeah, I think that's great. And since you mentioned that you have moved from China to US, like wanted to deep dive on that. Like how was that experience? What were your learnings? What were your some roadblocks, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, totally. So I moved to the US when it was like 2009 for my undergrad and at UIUC, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. My biggest thought was in China, we have a lot of people. And then when I came to the US, well, like before I actually studied abroad, like for my undergrad, I came to the US for like a month or like a week or something to like just like visit or like you know, in our school program, like, and then they sent us to the US to like kind of study abroad. And then my thought at that point was like, oh, everything is fine. And then when I came to UAUC, I realized like there was just not many people. Like, I mean, like when I was on the bus, I literally seen no one on the street, maybe because it was at night. So I think my biggest shock was like, there was just like the population are like so different. And then the other part is like, I think I'm kind of really, I highly suggest everybody coming from abroad to the US are like, I highly suggest everyone to just like try to like experience different culture. I definitely see a lot of international students, they just stay within their comfort zone to just only interact with other people from the similar countries or like a similar region or having a similar culture background. And I feel like it's kind of missing the point of studying abroad. And I feel like I do intentionally trying to like learn from people from different culture and backgrounds. And I feel like that's like a really interesting journey. And moving to Silicon Valley, I think there's also like a different culture shock because people in Silicon Valley is super passionate about like starting companies. I feel like ambition in like other area might be viewed as like you are too aggressive or like you are just like, what the hell are you thinking? But like in Silicon Valley, it's kind of like the natural habitat of people exploring their entrepreneurial side. And I definitely feel like I got super lucky there to be surrounded by like a lot of really amazing founders.
Right.
So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. I can vouch for that. Like if you are surrounded by such a community that is more aggressive towards starting your own startup and move into entrepreneurship space, you are motivated by yourself that you also want to do something like that. You tend to connect with them and start with something of that sort. Like I can totally vouch for that. Like moving towards that part of it, like how was your experience as a part of a VC firm? What were your learnings over there? Like can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, totally. I think my biggest learning throughout the podcast or throughout the VC journey were I would say three things. Like number one thing is like, I think everyone should be doing what they're good at. I used to, for example, when I moved to the Bay Area, the first thing I did was like, I signed up, I think it was like a coding boot camp, just because I feel like by default, everyone needs to know how to code. But I would say I'm a really terrible coder. Like I have to say it's terrible. Anyway, so I feel like everyone should be double down on what they're really good at, and finding people that are kind of the opposite of them, or like having a really complementary skill sets. I think this is like one of the biggest takeaway. I think picking, like I used to think, like I think everybody is saying like work hard, like blah blah blah. I definitely think you should work hard. But I think people are missing the point of like, there's a lot of hardworking people, but not everyone is gonna be successful. Like this is the blunt truth. Okay. So like, I feel bad for saying this, but like, I feel like picking your battle is more important than do you work hard. I think working hard is like 10 out of 10, super important. But like, if you're keep like being in a area that you're bad at when someone else can just like easily swim, like you're gonna fail. And then I think picking which sector to tap in, like it's way more important than like if you can just spend like 1,000 hours on coding. For me, it's like spending 1,000 hours on coding, I probably gonna be equally suck as like my first hour. So I feel like this is like one important lessons I've learned. And then I think the second part, sorry. So I think the second part is, I personally, this is just my personal opinion, I think you can learn. I think like information diet is extremely important. Like what is information diet? Think about it. Like every day you open your phone, there's like 4,000 different really random news, like from 10 different random words to talk about something that may or may not be true. And then think about it, like every day you spend, let's say 7 hours on your phone. And then like there is like maybe 3 hours out of this 7 hour are on things that you don't even care about. And you're like, oh, it's like, what's the algorithm is feeding me? And then you're just keep consuming that content. Those hours can add up to be like a lot of hours throughout our year, throughout our life. And like your head is filled with really toxicated news or toxicated things that you're like not extremely care about, or like just like memes on Twitter or something. So like basically your life is going to be filled with other people's random stuff that you like just trying to get you hooked on a different platform. I personally feel like you could do a detox by just only filter out things that you want to listen or you want to watch or you want to consume to make yourself a better person. Like I think I used to like I kind of like really shocked by since I started doing podcasts, I started creating content on my own or by myself. I got super shocked by like what makes a person different from a different person is how they think. Like I seriously feel like I used to just like, oh, like this person is just smart or something. But and then I'm like, what makes them smart? It's like they constantly consume things that are like interesting or things that are like really quality. It's sort of like actual diet, right? Like every day if like you and I are just eating fried chicken, then like we're gonna be fat, or like our body is gonna consume like a lot of fried chicken. But when like every day you're eating like a salad or something, and then your body is gonna be digesting salads and then giving yourself like a lot of nutrients to function better. So similar to the information diet, if you're every day it's like fried chicken vibe news in like everywhere, then you will become a fried chicken in your head. I know I sounds like a super really weird right now, but like
no, I think that's the best.
I feel like this is like a part. Yeah, I don't know. Like I just feel like I used to just like ignore the fact that like we are like, I just ignore the fact that like we are constantly consuming content in like a really passive way because we're like actually fed by these things. I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll just open it, and then like 5 minutes later it's done. It's like, although it's 5 minutes, but like imagine every single day 5 minutes add up. So I feel like those are this is like the second learning. And then the third part is, I think mind building is really important. So I first heard about this words by like when I was interviewing the co-founder of like Coffee Meets Bagel, and then she talked about like mind building, and then I looked into it, and then like I constantly feel like a lot of decisions that we make are because of, are we aware of our psychological challenges? Like, so like I think knowing yourself is super important. Like knowing what is your psychological strengths and weaknesses is really important, and being able to like either not act on something really fast, or like being able to process your own thoughts, like that's also like a really important piece. Because I think like, think about it, business is made by people, and people are driven by their emotions, and how do you control your emotions a lot of times like affects your like business decision, life decision, and it's just like everything. So I feel like those are something that I am more mindful of. I feel like those are like too like broad in general, but like those are actually something that I learned throughout this.
This is so important. Like it totally affects your personal and professional decisions in a broad way. Like if you look towards it, like how the things that you are doing and how your mind has been developed, like it has a serious impact on that, and I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also curious, like what is your learning? Like what is your like top 3 learning from, like, I feel like you also interview a lot of people that are in like a big tech company, or like they work in like product management, or like having different career in tech. Like what is your like 3 general like takeaways there?
Yeah, like before answering with that, like I wanted to touch down on the first and second point that you have also mentioned. Like I think it is like one of the greatest learning that you should know when to like when to like work hard and on what to work hard. Like what part is also very significant, because if you have not decided on, let's say you are into music and you're working hard on, let's say, coding or something like that is not making sense, that working hard won't yield any result. And that is an important decision. Like people out there are randomly saying words like work hard, but like what to work hard is also very, very significant, because that is how your like time gonna convert into something very meaningful. Yeah. And on the second point of it, I totally agree. Like there has been so much toxic content out there, and that is living rent free in your mind. You should be very, very like conscious about what is the content that you are trying to consume, because that is going to shape your decisions, shape your thoughts, and affect your personality. If let's say somebody's in a growing age, somebody's a college student, school student, if that person is consuming that content, is going to affect them very, very significantly. And if some, let's say, a founder or a person in a senior management position consumes that content, it is going to trickle down on the juniors or subordinates in his or her team. So that's why I feel that, if I have to be very honest, like consuming the right content builds a very, very good relationship with your body and the surrounding. It helps you nurture the surrounding and look it in a different way, so that you can improve the things around and also grow in a very meaningful way. So I think one of the best learnings that I have heard, and yeah, if I have to come back to my learnings, the one learning that I have learned so far is to appreciative of everybody's own set of skills. Like if you are in, let's say, a big tech company, but somebody is not there, so you should be appreciative of the work that their person is doing. It is something phenomenal, and every day how that work is affecting millions of people. So that is one thing I generally want to learn about, like how the things go. So it could be of any work, it could be as menial job as you can think of, but learning from them, understanding their job is also very important. Second part, as you mentioned, you should be very, very mindful of the things around you, about yourself, and that self-awareness is one thing. Because let's say if I'm in this gold mine of like fabulous people around me who are very, very technologically smart, who are very psychologically smart. They are like pioneers of their own space. So if I'm not able to use it, so that is one thing that I have felt. If I have been given a gold mine, I should be aware of that. The like things around me are gold, and I should extract as much as value I can do. So that is like my second learning. And third learning is I think it's more around a generic, or I would say philosophical way of a life. Like, how do you enjoy your life? I've seen people working day in, day out, but not giving enough time to yourself, or like to things that they like. And that has been the core problem of like root cause for multiple problems. What I've seen, like a person should be able to find time for themselves, like to introspect, or to find some time to spend with friends, families, colleagues, or like whoever, whatever activity they like prefer to do. That is one thing that they generally miss out in their daily life and get consumed by other things. What I would do is what I was seeing people who are investing a lot of time in using phones, but not in a way that they intend to. Like scrolling through feeds on social media platform is one way, but things that make you happy, things that make you enjoy. Let's say something for me is this podcast that I really enjoy. Taking out time for these activities, these things, connecting with different people that you want to learn with, you want to connect with, maybe going out with your friends for a good dinner or a party. I think these are the learnings that I've seen. People generally forget about the third one in their life, like in like passionate growth and career path.
Yeah, so like that's so interesting. Like I feel like when you mentioned about like doing things that like you kind of like enjoy, or like going to like parties or something. So yesterday I was like literally reading this article about the metaverse. Like people were saying like what exactly is the metaverse. I was reading I believe Sean Perry. So like he was talking about it on Twitter, about like basically metaverse is like a flipping point of like when you spend more time on the digital, you value digital more than you value like the physical activity or physical space or your physical surrounding. It just reminded me of that. I'm just like, what exactly is like something that's like outside of your, like I feel like those are like interesting things about like like what exactly is your passion, and then what exactly is like the real world. I don't know, like those are just like things that remind me of it.
Yeah, I think a very unique perspective that you just mentioned about metaverse, like how you perceive metaverse. Like there are people who are very, very excited about the metaverse, but looking it on like a holistic view, like how it is going to affect, like what are like pros as well as the cons of it. And I think it definitely opens up a plethora of opportunities for learning and everything out there, for things that were like previously impossible to do or very difficult to do, that are like easily doable in the metaverse. But it also opens up like a series of challenges that were not present before, like especially I think for younger generation, like how to use that in the correct way, or how to shape it in a way that is more productive in a sense. If I think about it, I am definitely excited about the metaverse, but keeping in that check that you don't miss the real life inside that digital world is very, very important. I think like that's a very beautiful point that you have brought up. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, would be like to know like what's your perspective of metaverse. And yeah,
my perspective on the metaverse. So I was just, I mean, I'm actually not, so like I'm still like constantly trying to learn about it. So last week I had a live with Rex Woodbury, and then I asked him what exactly is the difference between like Web3 and Web2 and Web1. So at the beginning, so my understanding before chatting with him was Web1 is something that like you just consume content, like you read like a news site or something, and then like Web2 is like you can interact with it, for example Facebook or like Reddit, that you can just like commenting on other people's comments, so you can interact with people. And the Web3 is from my previous understanding, it was just like you are in it, and then like in like, so when I was chatting with Rex, I asked him like what exactly is Web3, and then he basically mentioned, this is from my memory, I could be wrong, I should re-listen to it because I was traveling this past week. So basically I think he said it was like the money is linked towards it. Like the money is linked with like Web 2 because of everything is decentralized. So like in the past, like Web 2 was you upload this podcast on YouTube. So YouTube controls everything. YouTube is a distribution platform. On Web 3 is you upload it and then like to the blockchain that like basically like there was no third party to control anything, as well as like you can this remind me of another article that I read. It was just like people were talking about like I think a lot of people are so like, you know, I think you heard about like a bunch of people purchasing like the Constitution, basically the Constitution dolls, so like a bunch of people trying to purchase
in the NFT space and everything,
right? Like so and then like there were like a different group of people. So basically like people can own a part of the content. I think that's like the major concept. I also talk with like my friends who were like really deep into crypto. I'm like, what exactly is like Web3 or like the metaverse? And people are like, you mean what is not the metaverse? Basically everyone's saying like, not everyone, like those like crypto people, they are saying the metaverse is essentially just like we're already living in it. So for example, you're on the internet like by the bus station, and then you are like engaging with people online. And then so like my understanding is like similar to what that tweet was saying, like there's like a flip point. At one point you're gonna feel like you spend like your internet is like your internet, like your life on the internet is worth more than your physical space, as well as like, so basically that's like my current understanding. Again, I'm no expert, I'm just learning.
I think this is a very unique point over there as well. So how Web3 will come into picture and how we are at that initiation point, like how the transition, we are the like first generation who will be seeing that Web 2 to Web 3 transition, and like we are the folk who are making that transition, moving towards the Web 3 part of it, engaging more on the digital content, digital side of it. And since you mentioned like blockchain and how the things will move forward in the money direction, how do you see about like cryptocurrency, NFTs is something that has a potential, or like do you see it as a bubble? What's your perspective on that?
I think it has potential and it's also a bubble. This is just my personal opinion. So I think why it has potential is because of like everyone is thinking about like a physical use case for it. So I went to NFT NYC. So like I saw like Gary Vee, basically we're selling V friends, and then Gary Vee is like a big spokesperson in the NFT space. And I think so like I think that day we also watched talk by the co-founder of Reddit, the founder of Wikipedia, like so basically the tech people are passionate about this, as well as there's like tons of enthusiastic people. I like met a lot of really interesting, and like now I can call friends, like, you know, we so like chat after that event. So my personal thought was people right now is like trying to piece the technology with an actual use case. So selling high ticket item, right? So like I heard people would go to like a gallery in Italy to like meet other people, because they're like both in this NFT club. You have to actually physically be at somewhere to get it, and then like, you know, that's how you bond deeply with that person. And like basically people were associating this with like Gary Vee selling like a really high ticket item. So for example, selling a Gary Vee conference, and then through buying this ticket, you're getting exclusive things. So the sushi restaurant, they just started the NFT sushi restaurant in, I think in New York or something. So basically they're serving sushi in that club, and then you have to purchase the NFT to get in to be a part of the club member. And I'm like, okay, so this is basically just selling a golf club membership, right? Like you're like selling something super expensive. Instead of paying actual physical money, you pay through a digital currency. So I think that's like one use case, and people trying their best to like make this work. And I think the middle piece is I do feel like it's a great concept, but I also feel like why I feel like maybe it could be a bubble, it's because of like this is like a actual, like we used to just buy ticket for these things, right? Like, and then like I feel like this is something that's like already happening in the past, and then you're just like using like a different format to just transfer the money, right? Like instead of using PayPal, like or like Stripe or some other payment system, we use an NFT because that's like, because in people's mind, NFT, like let's say when Ether is how much, like $4,000 or something, it just like you feel like you're spending $1, but like you're actually spending $4,000. So I feel like that's like the beauty of it, or like that's like the easier to getting people spending a large amount of money to buying something. And then the middle part is, I do feel like there is a community that's really up and coming. People are trying their best to find different use case for it. So I definitely see there's a potential. But on the other hand, of course, a potential, like a lot of people see something has a lot of potential that comes with the bubble. So that's just in my opinion. If a lot of people that don't really know anything about it, and then they're like trying their best to like finding a use case for it, and like I feel like that's just like we're all faking it just because you know, you can use another way to like get this done. However, I do think the blockchain technology has a lot of different use cases. I don't think like Bitcoin or like the cryptocurrency is going anywhere. I do think like the use case of NFT itself is, sorry, like my LinkedIn is blowing. Like, so I should close this, but I should close the, yeah, I close it. So I do think that would, I do think like, so like basically I do think like the technology itself can go some places, but like I don't know if NFT in particular is gonna be it, because think about it, in like I believe in 1997, I was reading an article yesterday, in 1997 people were calling the internet something like cyber something, so like it's like a really crazy terminology, but now we're just like we're online, like we're on the internet, or like we're online in general. So I think in the future people are not gonna be like, oh, you have an NFT or you are on the metaverse. It will just be like you're like online or something. So I do feel like there will be an evolution happening from what was happening to, or like what is happening right now, to like normalizing it, and then the technology itself would take off in some way.
Yeah, I think a very interesting viewpoint over there. So over time, the things will normalize. Like 20 years ago, there was no smartphone, and like people are now on smartphone. They are online constantly. Like being online was a thing before. Now we are all like 24/7. We are online with internet and everything. And like since you mentioned the 30,000 feet view of that, how you can perceive a thing. So you have just replaced that paper money with a different method, but the whole concept is exactly the same. Like if I have to put an analogy, it would be something like previously you used to like transfer data with a floppy disk or CD drive, but now you have used pen drive or like another format, a hard drive format for that fact. So that is the change what I see. And since you mentioned there is a price difference, it feels like you are spending $1, but it is like you are spending $4,000 in just a moment. So yeah, I think people should be mindful of that, and that the things you mentioned are so true, and I feel it's so relatable that blockchain as a technique has so much potential out there to be implemented in a lot of use cases and solve it. But on the flip side of it, moving on the cryptocurrency side of it, I find it a bubble, and things like people should be more mindful of whether they are investing, if the things that they are moving forward, they have researched enough about it, or like are they in the safe risk zone that they are, whatever the amount they are doing or whatever the amount they are playing with does not burn their hands in a bad way. And on the technological side of it, I find it like very interesting, like how companies are moving to like most of the companies are not actually using artificial intelligence or machine learning, but use it for advertising stuff that we have incorporated. I feel that after like 4, 5, 6 years ago, most of the companies start saying we have implemented blockchain in our technology, in our product in some way, and used to market around it just to get the buzz and get the most juice out of that buzz. And that is the con that I fear about.
Yeah, for sure. I do feel like people would take advantage of the buzzwords to like
Mhm.
build a lot of content around it to
Right.
just like, yeah, I do see that trend as well.
Yeah, cool. Wanted to move towards the rapid fire round of this. Would be some quick questions around what like your personal preferences and all that. Are you an Android person like iPhone?
I'm an iPhone person.
Okay. A beach person or a hill station person?
What is the second thing?
Hill station, like mountains or anything.
Mountains?
Beach or
no.
mountain?
Oh, beach. Definitely
Okay.
beach.
Okay. A cat or a dog?
I'm a turtle person, or like I'm a fish person. I feel like I'm like these. Yeah, I really like water animals. I mean, I'm not like really like water animals, but like, yeah, I do feel like I want to just like, I don't know. I feel like they're really pleasant looking, and then they make me feel calm.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. Like seeing that water and that animal, and it's so peaceful to see. Yep. Okay. What do you see as a more potential, tech or business? What is more important?
Okay, I'm gonna give a really shit answer, but I think business is more important just because I think tech is gonna be like, I think tech is very important, right? Like, for example, the medical technology, and this is not like a rapid fire answer, but like my TLDR is like, you know, for example, medical technology or like biotech is like extremely important. Like, you have to stay alive, but everything is tied to business. If there's no business, people are not creating stuff. Like, that's just my blunt opinion. So I think business is more important.
Yeah, if I have to say, I totally agree with that. Like, business makes more sense over there. But yeah, moving to the last question. So, are you a person who is like more into fine dining, or is it like a more on the street food cafe type?
Oh, street food. I like to try different things, and I feel like fine dining is interesting, but like on the other hand, whenever you go to every restaurant, it's almost like the same. But for street food, you actually experience the culture right there, and I feel like that's more like a better experience for me. So
yeah, that's so true. I can totally vouch for that. Like, trying on that multiple cuisines and different tastes, and the same thing in different tastes is phenomenal. Like, that tickling that you have in the taste buds is that I crave for.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. That was everything from my side. If you have something that you want to mention towards the guest or something like that, I'm all of the stages for you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So, what I have to mention. So, like, recently I've been trying my best to put out more content on social media. So you can find me everywhere. Like, my podcast is on like Spotify, Amazon, like YouTube, like iPhone. So like, basically it's just Smart Venture Podcast. And then my name is Grace Gong, GraceGong, and I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter is like Grace Gong GG, and then Instagram, like I'm basically on everywhere. So it's just my name. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Grace, for having us here and sharing your experiences. That has been so phenomenal to hear those stories. And all the audience who is listening, I will put all the links in the description box below. You can check out her LinkedIn, her podcast, and learn a lot in that area. She has done phenomenal podcasts with a lot of major folks in the Bay Area, and you can learn a lot there. So check those links in the description box below. And thanks again for having coming on this podcast and sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you for creating this podcast. And I'm pretty sure, like, you know, I feel like I admire that, you know, you're also keep putting out content, and then you have amazing guests yourself, and congratulations on starting, and then keep hustling.
Yeah, thank you so much for the compliment. Thank you. So audience, I will see you in the next video. Till then, see you. Bye-bye. So folks, I hope you have really liked this video, and all the content in this video were relatable to you. You have gained so much information about listening to her story, how Grace has moved from one part of her life to another, and how working from a VC firm to starting her own company. And you might have also known like what was the challenges that she faced when she moved from mainland China to US. So I hope आपको ये वीडियो अच्छी लगेगी and we will try to bring more such amazing content on this channel. Stay tuned to this channel and like and share this video among your friends who are interested in this kind of storylines and they like this video. So, and thanking the supporter of this channel, Newton School.